I don't know what that was. I love horror. I love reading horror and slowly uncovering that story one word at a time. I love watching horror, seeing other people get into these terrible situations and then how they end up escaping them or more than likely succumbing to them. I hate horror games. I hate horror games. I can't stand them. No matter how many times I sit down to play something like Outlast or Amnesia, I can make it probably through the first chapter if I'm lucky. Then I promptly find myself a locker or a closet to hide in, wait 5 minutes to make sure that I'm gonna be safe to get out, never work up enough courage, save the game, close it, and never go back to it. Why is that? Why can I not play a horror game? Why can I watch someone play a horror game? Why can I read a synopsis or a plot summary? But I can't play one.
I decided to see if anyone else felt the same way out there in the wonderful world of the internet.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So the reason I think that is because, so I can watch a scary movie and it can scare me, and I can watch somebody else play a scary game and it can scare me. But when I'm playing a scary game myself, it's more immersive, and I feel there's not a degree of separation removed from me and the thing, you know?
I feel like horror games are scarier for me personally because I'm more in it, I guess. I feel immersed.
Joystick Nick says horror games versus horror movies. What's scarier and why? I don't know, dude. Both are really scary to me. Horror VR is the scariest. Horror VR for sure.
Now that we know that everyone agrees with me, let's talk to a professional to see why we might feel that way. I spoke with Eric Chocolasic, QA lead at EA and aspiring horror game developer. What is it that makes something scary, in general, not necessarily just games or film or whatever it may be, but what makes something scary?
There's a lot of things, and I think it definitely varies for everyone. There's a lot of people that are just easily scared by simple things like body horror or gore, whatever you want to call it. I think a prime example of that actually is, if you remember the Dead Space 2 little marketing videos, the Your Mom Hates Dead Space 2.
Why would they even make something like this?
I actually
yes.
just rewatched them earlier today. But yeah, they just bring
oh, nice.
people that qualify as moms on whatever form, and basically just middle to older aged women, and they just look terrified and horrified throughout every little snapped video of Dead Space, and they're just, oh, that's gooey, that's gross, that's awful. If I see this out in real life, I'll smash it with a hammer, sort of thing. I guess to answer what makes something scary for me, I would have to say just the unknown. Good old Lovecraft, just, the oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and
yes, cosmic horror is definitely one of those things that I am super into.
Yeah, I think the best part about it is that it could basically be absolutely anything. You could think you've figured everything out at one point, and then suddenly the story just throws you for a loop, and it's something that you just couldn't have even imagined because you were busy with some other thought that the authors are like, no.
So how do games use the unknown to their advantage?
Going back to Amnesia being an indie horror game as it is, a lot of indie horror games actually taken huge inspiration from PT, if you remember it.
Yes, I actually have it on my PlayStation. I have opened it. I clicked the start game option in the menu, and then went. It's 2:30 in the morning, and I am alone. And I'm not going to be able to get very far, so I turned it off. And that was, probably 6 years ago. So, would you consider Death Stranding a horror game? Or is it a Strand game?
Yes and no.
Gotcha.
I feel like Strand games have always been around. He coined the term. It's paranormal and supernatural, and that lends itself to horror quite a bit, so there's horror aspects to it. But
So there are things that horror can utilize and are associated with horror, but don't necessarily make something horror-oriented.
yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just even looking at games nowadays, and everyone just borrows from everyone. So you sort of wind up making new genres just based on like how much of one mechanic is in there versus another, but it still has aspects of that. I mean, like, look at what Dead Space 3 turned into.
That's true. That's true. What is a genre?
Yeah, not much anymore.
Oh no, my headset is being weird.
Oh no.
I actually have to put on my headphones. Yes, so we were talking about horror games and how they use the
scary
unknown to their
unknown.
advantage. Yeah. Do you have like a specific example of anything? Like a shining moment?
We just have so many walking simulators going through looping hallways now, and a lot of people think the looping is the scary part. But anyway, PT was originally crafted to be like a terrifying mystery, I guess, that eventually most of the gaming society of everyone just sort of had to work together to unravel. Like at first we didn't know it was a Silent Hill game, right? Hell, they tried to make it look like an indie game. Everyone thought it was an indie game at first, and then everyone was just driven by figuring out what is PT. And
that's most of what drew me into it, because I'm very much into the whole like unfiction kind of like found footage like ARG alt reality kind of thing, and the way that they launched that was so hard in that vein. It was Is the unknown something that you specifically look for in horror games, or is there something else that you're drawn to?
Narratively, definitely the unknown. But I think the biggest thing for me, just especially being a level designer, is just the environment and setting, mostly.
Atmosphere.
I want to play a game. Yeah, atmosphere is huge for me. Actually, a lot of my stuff I post on Twitter, even a lot of comments are like, "Oh, this atmosphere is spot on," blah 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 blah. So I always have to comment and be like, "Yeah, no, this is what I focus on mostly." I don't know. Everyone says jump scares are overused, too cliche. I mean, that's an entirely different conversation. But just the atmosphere helping to build tension is just huge for me. I feel like that sets you up for so much successes with any future scares. So yeah, when playing a game, I want to be able to navigate a space that can just unsettle me simply by moving through it. And then, like I said, yeah, that just amplifies any chance for scares. So like, you're already on edge, you go through some spooky corner or doorway, and then you're already expecting a jump scare. If it doesn't happen, that just puts you a little even more on edge. If it does happen, then there's that sweet release. But then, what happens next? Yeah.
So is subversion a good mechanic? Like a good, not necessarily game mechanic, but narrative or plot mechanic to use in horror as well?
One of my favorite tricks, I guess, is the bait and switch.
Ah.
Yeah, it's just a super fun way to lure players over to a space with something tempting or intriguing. So if it's like, oh hey, the key I need is probably over here in this well-lit space. And then once they get there, you just sort of psych them out, throw them for a loop or whatever, and then either you just take away what they thought was there, whether there was actually an item and then that just magically disappears, or whatever else, even if it's just like a scare to be like, hey, look at the super tempting thing, and then you scare them, and then whatever, they turn around and then the real path or whatever is revealed. There's definitely something to say about that. I mean, especially in games, I feel like we always know we have that ability to actually get away from whatever horror is chasing you in that world or story. But just with like film or books even, you're just locked into that character's actions, so you're sort of forced to experience it, which I think games sort of lose a bit in, because like I said, you have that chance to always get away, so it's like, oh no, nothing bad's gonna happen, right? Outlast, actually, I think, helped break that trope a bit. Just because how much you get like captured, and I think you get your fingers cut off and stuff, your actual character gets beaten to shit and you still keep on going. So it's like, things can happen, like when's it gonna end? Am I actually gonna die here? It's just...
That is the most the game that I've gotten the furthest in that is a more recent horror game, and that was 3 years ago.
Oh damn.
It's
Okay,
a
horror's
common
not your
thread
thing. I
across
get
like
it.
it's a common thread across like all, but it's only games. Like I love horror movies and books and comics and like, and I can watch someone play a horror game. I'm totally cool with that. I can hop on a Twitch channel and watch someone go through whatever it may be. But
Would you say you're just not immersed enough in movies?
maybe it's the fact that I'm in control that I feel that I'm out of control, and that seems oxymoronic, but makes sense in my head. Maybe I'm afraid of responsibility. Oh my god, I just had an existential crisis and realized I'm afraid of being responsible for things happening.
Why you have so many things on the go?
Do you have a scariest game? Like, even one from your childhood that is not scary now, but made you terrified when you were younger?
Yeah, actually, I guess to get to backstory land, I used to be terrified of everything. Like, up until I was 12 or 13. I don't know, I was 8 or 9 or something, visiting my parents' friend's place, and their kids were playing, I think it was the first Resident Evil or something, and as I was going into the basement, they warned me, like, oh, don't come in, this game's scary, not for kids, sort of thing. But I went in anyway, saw like maybe 2 minutes of it. Nightmares ever since, like, nightmares of zombies, like, breaking into my house and capturing my parents and, like, murdering them with steak knives and shit.
Wow, that's great. So why do you think that motivated you to want to be a horror game developer?
I think I wanted to conquer that fear. I don't know. I guess what happened was Resident Evil 4 came out, and I thought that looked awesome, but then I recognized the name, and I was like, that scared the shit out of me. No, I can't touch this. But lo and behold, I rented it, and I think my parents were actually out that night, so I was just playing it alone in the dark, and they weren't really zombies in that game either. They were just weird infected. That's, I guess, when they started turning. So it was more tolerable to me, and I was like, cool, this is like my first proper exposure into horror gaming. And suddenly things seemed less scary. So then I started going back to the older Resident Evils, and even that one that originally had scared me to shit. It's not the right phrase, but anyway. Yeah. I don't know, I got off track now. But regardless, conquered that fear thanks to a newer version of Resident Evil that wasn't as scary as the older one, I guess.
That's really cool. That's really inspiring to hear. Like, you conquered that thing that changed your life. I mean, like, you couldn't sleep again. Like, you couldn't sleep well after that. And
yeah, it took like 5 years, but
Do you have any tips for being less scared? While either playing or watching or whatever it may be.
I guess long term falls back to what I was saying earlier. Just sort of expose yourself to more horror and scary things, just getting desensitized, learning the cliches and tropes of horror, and then just sort of learning what to expect.
Immersion therapy.
Right? Exposure therapy, yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm getting scared during a game, though, I personally just try and focus on the current goal, whether it's like get to this exit or find this item thing, and then it's just a lot of that fight or flight kicks in, and then I usually lean towards flight and just focus on the goal. I'm like, nothing scary around me, just going for this thing. Cool, got it, now I'm free.
Those are good tips. Mine's usually, I forget what the goal is, and the goal is get away,
Kill everything,
get away,
go around in
get up,
circles.
just go hide, just make, I don't know what's gonna happen, just make something happen, something's gonna happen. If I punch it, maybe it'll stop attacking. Nope. Okay, I'm dead now. Yeah, alright, time to turn the game off. Do you have anywhere that people can follow you to look at your atmospheric horror level designs?
Yeah, I guess I'm mostly active on Twitter, just at Arco Emrys, Arco_Emrys. Outside of Twitter, I also have my portfolio website that desperately needs to keep getting updated, but that's just ericchocolassic.com.
Awesome. Well, Eric, thanks for hanging out and having this conversation with me.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that we'll talk soon.
I didn't expect so much insight on how to overcome my own fear, but now I feel like I might be better equipped to maybe take on one of those games that scared me so hard I abandoned them. And if you want to maybe see if I end up doing that, please follow me on all of my relevant social medias. Joystick Nick, no C's, pretty much every platform. Every platform? Every platform. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Bye. It's locked. Not anymore! Not a single locked door can stop us. Not here. Not now. Not